All right, why don't we get started here? Hi, everyone, and welcome. I'm Adam Beresin from MS Dynamics World. I'd like to thank everybody for joining us for today's event, Microsoft Dynamics GP Security, Auditing, and Compliance Made Easy. Our presenter is Alicia Weigel from Rockton Software. We're very happy to have Alicia here with us today. So just a quick thing, you can submit any questions you have during the session through the Q&A box on the right side of your screen, and Alicia will try to get to all of them at the end of the event. Now, before we get started, it would be great if you could all answer a quick poll question that I'm going to launch right now. Let's see if we can do this. Okay, there we go. Perfect. So if you wouldn't mind just taking a couple of seconds to answer this question, that would be awesome. Okay, great. All right, so Alicia, just to kind of give you an idea of the audience here, question was, do you and your team currently have a security or compliance/auditing measures in place? 55% said yes, 14% said no, and then we had some people that did not answer. So I'm going to turn it over to you. Take it away.
Awesome. Thanks so much. And thank you, everybody, for participating in the webinar today and also for helping us out with our poll question. We just kind of wanted to get a feel for where everybody's at in that security and compliance space right now. As Adam said, my name is Alicia Weigel, and I'm the Technical Sales Team Lead here at Rockton Software. And for those of you that maybe aren't familiar with Rockton or you haven't heard of us in the past, we are a ISV that works specifically with Dynamics GP and also the Dynamics 365 product. But we have been in the GP space specifically for almost 20 years now. So a very long time, almost since GP's inception into the world. And basically what we do is we really focus on making GP work simpler and easier. So that's kind of our motto with all of our products. And what I want to show you guys today is 3 pieces that can make security and compliance and auditing much, much easier for you if you don't already have those measures in place, or if you're looking to kind of beef those up a little bit, whether it's trying to meet SOX compliance or you've got auditors knocking on your door, whatever the case may be. And then I'm also going to show you guys just one of our super easy products. It's probably Rockton's most popular. It's our SmartFill. And if you haven't heard of this before, this is our Google or our Bing style search tool for finding records in GP. And I'll actually go into showing you guys how these products work. I'm not much for PowerPoint, so we'll actually look at the products and kind of get into them and show you how they're going to play with your company data and things like that. But as Adam said, if you guys have questions, we're going to be looking at 3 totally different products, so I'll bring up a slide between each one so you can kind of differentiate. But if you do have questions, send them to the chat box. I'll do my very best to get all of them answered. And if I don't have an answer, I'll find someone that does. So we're going to go ahead and get started on SmartFill. So we're going to jump into GP here. And we'll get to going. All right, so the first thing we're going to do, we're going to jump into the financial module, and we're going to take a look at an account. Now with SmartFill, like I said, it's that Google or Bing style search tool. So if you think about your day-to-day life in GP, think how many times a day you guys click on this little magnifying glass. It's probably a lot more than once or twice a day. What we do with SmartFill is we take away the need to click on that by letting you find your records with what you know. So for example, with an account, rather than clicking on the lookup and waiting for that list to populate and then sorting through that list and filtering it and doing all of that, I can simply type across the account number field with what I know about the account. So that might be that I know part of the account number. I know the middle segment maybe, or the last segment. Maybe I know the description or the category or something like that. With SmartFill installed, you can basically do any of that and find the record. So let's say I'm looking for a cash account. Now I'm actually typing letters where numbers would normally have to be, or you'd get an error message. So I've typed cash, and then I'm going to hit tab, which is kind of our magic key. And once I get through all those segments, the Make a Selection window pops up. And this Make a Selection window is SmartFill going to work and sorting through the entire chart of accounts and bringing me back only accounts that have cash somewhere in this description. So I was searching on these 3 different values, so the account number, the description, and the alias, and it looked for cash. And this is a contains clause, so that means that cash doesn't have to be the first word in the description. As you can see down here, it's in the end. So it's searching all over, and it's bringing back just those results. Now from here, if this list was, maybe I have 500 cash accounts, I can subset search this list. So now it's looking for cash and whatever else I type in here. So if we go cash bank and hit tab again, I go from 12 results down to 7. And then all I have to do to select is just double click, and it's going to fill that window in for me. Now that in itself is super cool, but if you have maybe only 1 cash account, to speed up the process even more, we'll basically eliminate that Make a Selection window if we've got the description nailed right from the get-go. So here I'm typing in 1130. That's my middle segment of one of my accounts. I only have one 1130 account, so that Make a Selection window never even pops open. It just auto-fills the window for me. So think about how much faster you could get to a result using SmartFill. Now this is going to work in the transaction windows, it's going to work in your inquiry windows, also your cards windows obviously, but it's going to work for more than just accounts. Out of the box, this is set up for about 4,000 searches in GP. So basically you install this, it takes about 5 minutes to get it installed, and you're ready to go. It's already working in vendors, items, employees, customers, you name it, it's already working out there. So if we're looking at it in a vendor, maybe you know you have a travel vendor you're trying to find, you can hit travel, hit tab again, and now it's searching on a whole new set of criteria. So it's looking for travel somewhere in this ID, the name, or the class. And you can customize what you're searching on, what those values are that you want to be searchable fields. So I'm going to show you guys just a quick example of how to do that. So I'm going to go out to our SmartFill objects, and this is what you're getting out of the box with SmartFill. So we've got 21 objects in here. I'm going to expand this out so you can see all of them. The only one that doesn't come with the product is cash receipts. This is one I actually created for a customer. So the cool thing with SmartFill is if there isn't an object already made for it, it takes about 5-10 minutes to create one and it's ready to go for everybody. And this will work with other third-party products as well. So if you're using something like a MEM or a McCorma or a Key to Act or collections product, something like that, those are all totally doable with SmartFill as well. So you can add this to other products, you can add it to Windows, it's just really slick. But if we want to add something to our vendor search, I'm just going to open it up. Like I said, it comes already set up for me. I can add additional tables that it's searching on. I can change the different fields that I'm searching for. So I can just say I want to grab my vendor master and I want to search now by city. I want to add that as a searchable field. So I just have to mark the search and display. This is my little test box. So now I can see if I search for all my vendors in Chicago and hit tab here, this is what my result set's going to look like. So I can see it's basically the exact same as that Make a Selection window. Those are all of my Chicago vendors. So they have Chicago somewhere in the ID, the name, or their city location is Chicago. So that's all there is to it. You definitely don't have to be a developer or have, DBA knowledge. You just have to know what you're looking for. And you can add up to 10 criteria that you're searching on for each individual object. So meant to be real quick and easy, but let's just put it all together in a sales transaction entry so you can see it at the transaction level. So I'm going to grab let's grab an electric company. So again, it's looking here. We'll grab Aaron Fitz. He's always a popular guy to use. And now if I'm searching for an item to put onto this invoice, I'm just typing green because I know I'm selling him something green. I can see here it's bringing up all my items. So if you have a big inventory data set, this is quick and easy. I'm looking for a green cord. Looks like a good option. Here I'm even showing quantity available and quantity on hand. You can grab that. There's some additional information from another product that we have going on in the background. But as you can see, I can get through an invoice that much faster using the SmartFill. So I can just keep on trucking down the line, add another item, and finish off this invoice. So that's what I wanted to show you guys with SmartFill. So now we're going to go back into our slide deck here for a moment. And we're going to talk about our next product. And this is getting into that security and audits and compliance piece. So we're going to look at Auditor, aptly named because it's auditing whatever information you want to know in GP. So this is, again, meant to be super easy as far as installation and implementation go. But we're going to show you how to find the who, the what, the where, the when, and the why of your data changes in Dynamics. So again, not much time in the old PowerPoint. And we're going to go back out to a vendor. So we'll go to purchasing, and let's grab a vendor. I like to pick on the electronics section, and we're going to change international telecom. All right, so we've got our vendor maintenance window pulled up. Now, the first thing to know about Rockton's Auditor is that our audits are all field specific. So basically that means you can look at any field on any window throughout GP. As long as it's a dexterity-based product, we can audit it. So you can pick and choose on this window, maybe there's 5 or 6 fields that you really care about. Rather than taking an entire snapshot of a full table of information, as some of the other auditing solutions do, this allows me to pick and choose so that I don't have a lot of extra data to sort through. I don't have a lot of extra overhead on my system as far as, filling up tables with junk data, things like that. It's really just pinpointing the changes that I care about. So I'm going to make a few changes in here, and I will pick on myself. So this vendor check name field typically gets audited by everybody, and that's considered a pretty sensitive field. You don't want someone going in here and changing this to themselves, for example, and then cutting a check and changing it back. If you don't have some sort of an auditing solution in place, you're not going to know that that change ever happened unless you go and you actually look at that check. So that's a big no-no red flag field. Now we'll change a little bit of this other information. So I'm going to change the city. I'm in Fargo, North Dakota, so I'm going to send that check to myself in Fargo. And now I'm done with what changes I want to make so that I can get that extra paycheck this week. Now what triggers our audits are going to be clicking on the Save button. But before we do that, I want to let you know that you have 2 options with every field that you're auditing. The first option is you guys can audit silently in the background. Basically, that means no one is aware that there's an audit happening on this window. You're not going to see any flashing lights or anything like that. Nobody's going to pop out of your screen with handcuffs. Second option is that you can require that end user to tell you why they made a change. Now, that's kind of important for things like this vendor check name field. Maybe if you're changing payroll information, you want to know why someone got a raise all of a sudden, or if they're adding new information to the system, whether it's a new vendor or maybe a new GL account. Those might be examples of why you'd want to know. So you always have that option. So I'm going to click Save here, and that's going to write my audit to my table, and it's also going to pop open our Auditor Note Maintenance window. And this is that piece where we can say, why did you make that change? This is kind of your end user's clue that, hey, there's an audit happening, but also gets you that extra information that you need. And this window is required to be filled out, so they're not going to be able to leave this window until they give you that little bit of information. And if we look at some of the header information up here, we're specifically looking at that vendor check name field. We're not requiring notes on, changes like address information, stuff like that. But we have the old value listed and then that new value, and now you have to give us that reason why you made the change. And from here, you guys can set up predefined reasons. So if there's a common reason, there's a name change or something like that, you can put that in the drop-down. Otherwise, they can free text type in here as well. So I'm going to be an honest thief today and just say I'm committing fraud. I'm going to apply that change, and then that window clears out. Everything is done, and my work as an end user with Auditor is done. I can go on and make the next change and move right along with my day. Very simple. Now, as a flip side, as an audit administrator, which is different than your SA user for sure, I can go and I can start reporting on those changes. So we'll go out and we'll look at those reports. Now, all of our reports, this is kind of unique to our product, are kept right inside of GP standard smart lists. And if you've had GP for any length of time, good chance you guys are already super familiar with this window and what a smart list is and how to manipulate that and get the information that you want, because this is meant to be super easy for you to get reporting information. Now, when you install Auditor, we will create this Auditor folder for you. You don't have to do anything. Now, if we expand that, we've got 3 subfolders in there. Audits are going to be everything system-wide, so that's including all of your different GP companies. Our product lives in your Dynamics database, so we're auditing everything simultaneously. You don't have to set it up on each individual company. It's just going to go. E-sign approvals is a feature that's included with Auditor. And what that allows you to do is put a lock on a field, and then that person has to get an approval prior to that field being able to change. So with that vendor check name field, if I don't want anyone messing with that, I could put an e-sign approval on, and then that's going to keep track of who requested the approval, who gave the approval, and why. And then it'll keep it all separate inside of that folder for you. And then the last folder is our security audits. Again, unique to us is we have one checkbox that you mark, and we'll automatically track any changes that happen to your GP security. So that's going to be things like perhaps creating a new user in Dynamics GP, if you give someone security to a new role or a new task, anything like that, that's going to get tracked and kept in that folder. So when you come up to your next compliance audit, you can simply go in there, run that report for whatever length of time you'd like, and it'll show you every change that's happened. And then you can still require those notes if you'd like on specific changes, or you don't have to, but either way you know that that's already set up and working for you without having to do anything. So again, keeping with that simpler and easier motto that we have. But we'll focus mainly on the audits piece. So I'm going to open this up, and you can see I've got some different favorites saved here. Now to start with, you guys would have this little star or asterisk. That's going to be all your audits across the system. And once you start getting the information that you want, creating those special favorites, start adding those, and then you can come in and just run whenever you want. So if you want to see all of the changes that SA's made, save that as a favorite. Maybe you just want to see payroll changes or EFT changes or specific date ranges. You can do that with Auditor. But we'll open up the star, and we're going to do just a quick search. So this window is giving you all that information. This is across all of my companies, and I'm just going to search it like any other smart list. So I'm going to grab a column name. Let's just grab today's date. So I can say date is equal to today. Hit OK. And now this brings me back all of my changes. The sales transactions. I was tracking transactional data when I put in that new sales invoice and deleted it. I wanted to capture that. So that created those two records above. And then here's those changes that I just made to that vendor's card information. So I can see it broken out by the specific change. So that lets you get really, really picky with the type of report you're creating. You could go just super granular and just see those vendor check name changes and save that as a favorite for future reports if you wanted. But if we open this up, and this takes us into the audit inquiry window, and this is what you're going to get with every single audit. Always, always a date and a timestamp, so you know exactly when that record was changed. The user is the person that was logged in making the change, so I was logged in as SA here. We'll show you the workstation they were sitting at. Unless you're on a terminal server, then you don't have that information, but you know they're at the terminal server. Company and database that the change affected. The type of audit it was. So this is considered a table audit. Basically, it just means it happened from within GP itself. Another option that we offer is the SQL table audits. That allows you to audit the back end of your system. So if you're concerned about maybe a DBA has, access to running scripting in the background, update, insert, delete statements, those can be tracked. If you have an integration that writes direct to table, that can be tracked with a SQL table audit. Or if you have products completely outside of GP that are on the same instance of SQL, we can track those as well. So that just kind of clues you in as to where did this change occur from. Our event types, we can track 3 types. So adding a new record, deleting an existing record, or editing an existing record. So this is just cluing me in that it was something already, a vendor already created, and we just changed something to an existing. Group ID, that's just our name. Products, again, we work with those third-party products, so we'll just show you which product you changed. Then we get into the field that was changed, the table that field lives in, the record key. So in this case, this is that vendor's name that we modified. And the old value, the new value, and then any notes that you require the end user to complete. If you didn't require a note, then this field's just going to stay blank. But this is a perfect little snapshot of exactly what happened in your system. So that's what we're giving you with each audit that you have in Auditor. Now if we close out of that, you're going to get this information out of GP the same way you would with any other smart list. So if we wanted to print out today's changes, we could send it to Word, we could send it to Excel, we can print that information. Just like any other smart list, you can create an Excel refreshable report. So if you want this to be something that refreshes and it's available outside of GP to maybe your CFO or an auditor, you can have that information exporting out and refreshing outside of your GP with those Excel refreshable reports. So this is going to be where you do about 99% of your reporting. Another option is simply to go back and look at that vendor's record. So if we come back out and we grab that vendor again, and we'll pull them back up with our SmartFill, and it was this guy we changed. Now if we come back in here and we're looking at the specific vendor's record, when you install Auditor, we add this view-related audits to every single additional menu on all your windows in GP. So this allows you to open up view-related audits, and this is going to show me all of the changes that have happened to this particular vendor's record since I started auditing. So this gives me a place to look for trends, look for continuous changes of information. Maybe I want to be able to see where they were previously if they had changed offices recently. This gives me all that information in a little snapshot. So it's specific to that record, but gives me that same look as if I was looking at it in the smart list. Oh, I apologize. I had a little cough there. So if we're still looking at this window, you can also drill back from here, and that'll take you into that same audit inquiry window as the Smart List as well. And this is information that you can make available to your end users. It's not editable in any way, but if you wanted to have this be something that your users could look back at, you can offer that option as well. That's one of our setup features. So those are the places that you're going to be doing that audit reporting. Now, we do have some new features that we've added to Auditor, and we're actually doing a new release towards the end of March where we're going to add some additional functionality. And the cool thing with all of the Rockton products is once you buy it, you own it, but you're still going to get those updates and those enhancements and those new features at no cost to you. So as long as you're current on your maintenance, you get that new release and you get that new functionality. So I'm going to show you guys our audit inquiry view. So if we go to Inquiry Auditor, we have what we call our Journal Voucher Roadmap. Now what this does is, it was kind of an idea from a bunch of our customers. They needed a place to be able to show their auditors who created a general ledger journal entry, who approved it, who posted it, and they wanted to be able to show that it wasn't the same person doing everything just for that segregation of duties piece. So we built this window, and this window is currently part of a really big enhancement that we're rolling out. Right now, this is looking specifically at posted general ledger journal entries. So we're going to pull one up here. So you can pull up a whole range. You can go by batch. You can look by a person that created it. It's completely up to you. But once you plug in that range of journal entries or that single one, you're just going to hit Redisplay. And this is going to pull that in for me. So I know that journal entry 3452 was put in this batch, created by the SA user on this date. I don't have approvals turned on in my GP environment. If you do, this would show who approved it. And then ultimately that it was Sarah that posted this journal entry. If I need to zoom back, I can double click. It'll take me right back to that journal entry. And if I need additional information, so we're looking at it in summary, I can pull it into detail. I'll get the account numbers, the debit and credit amounts, all of that information. But you could pull this up, and then this window you can print the information out, and that allows you to give that to an auditor and say, okay, I do have that segregation of duties. It's not the same person that created it that posted it. In our next iteration that's coming out, this is going to be available for your submodules as well. With the exception of payroll, this is going to work with purchasing, payables, SOP, as well as the receivables module. So we're trying to cover all of those different places where you could enter those transactions and have that segregation of duties, or possibly that lack of segregation of duties, but be able to look at it as they're being created, and whether they're in work, open, or history, you'll be able to see those general journal entries. It's also going to give you the option to mark a checkbox that says it was created and posted by the same person. So that'll filter it out for you and allow you to just focus on those without having to look through a range. So that's all coming in our late March release. That's what we're currently scheduled for our release time. So if you currently have Auditor, you can look forward to having that additional feature coming out. Otherwise, if you're looking at it for right now, this is what is available. So if you haven't upgraded to the latest and greatest version, you want to get that because this is a nice feature. All right, so that was what I wanted to cover for you guys with Auditor today. Again, you've got all of those different options for, that compliance piece. There is also a segregation of duties built into Auditor. And what that'll allow you to do is some extra reporting on users that are able to do tasks from different groups. So if you've got a user that can create an employee, you probably don't want that to be the same user that's necessarily building and running your payroll. So that gives you the option to put them into separate groups, and then our system will let you run a report that says, hey, we've got a conflict here. And then that conflict, it'll show you where that problem lies, and then you can go back and you can correct that with your GP security. So then it falls off the report and you've got a clean bill of health. So those are some additional features that you'll find in Auditor. So next we're going to jump into the last product that we're going to be looking at today, and that is our Dynamics GP Toolbox. Now this tool I can actually go on for over an hour on, just because this particular product has over 27 tools in it right now. When you purchase a toolbox, you're getting all 27 tools and whatever future tools we decide to put into it. This one has kind of been a labor of love coming from customers and partners that send us suggestions of things that they wish GP did a little differently that it doesn't do. And we put them in, you know, they're not big enough to be a whole product in and of themselves, so we create these tools and we put them into our kit. So the toolkit, you get them all when you purchase it. And I'm going to show you guys some of the features that are more on the security and compliance side. So we'll jump again back into GP, because that's what I like to be in. And we'll open up our toolkit. All right. So the way that we break these tools out so that it's a little bit more intuitive as far as what do you want to use, we've broken them out into 4 categories. So we have our security tools, we have our administration tools, we also have business process, and then we have our user experience. And the user experience tools are going to be tools that anyone that touches GP would have access to and be able to use. Whereas, you know, your security and admin tools, those we typically tell you, you know, there's a toolbox administrator role. Give that out a little more selectively. You don't want folks just being able to come in and modify your GP security or lock out your system for some reason or another. So we broke them out so that it makes a little more sense as far as what you might want to give access to. Now we also have some additional tools that are hidden up in our menu bar here, but I will focus mainly on what we're seeing in our security piece. And the first one that we typically get a lot of calls on because folks are struggling with GP security is our security manager. So I've got that open for you guys down here. I'm going to pull it up. So what this window is essentially a grid formatted window so that you can actually see what your users can get at in GP. That's the simple version of it. We allow you to come in here and select the company that you want to see your security on. So this is going to list again all of your different companies that you have available to you. Then you get to pick a filter. You can create your own or you can use one of the ones that we ship it with. But this is going to tell you things like who has access to what roles, what posting permissions, what windows throughout GP. You can pick the filter or you can create your own. We're looking at it as roles, and this is what's filling in down this left-hand side. I'm going to pop out our legend as well so you can see what the fun little pictures mean. So we're looking at who has access to what roles. Now next, I would get to select my users. So when I click on this, it's going to bring up all my GP users, and that's what's going to fill in across this top bar. So that's kind of completing the grid. It lets you look at, you know, one user, you can compare and contrast a couple users, or you can pull in a whole bunch of users. Maybe you've got a department you want to look at, and that's going to be able to, you know, look at it and see, okay, if Ryan needs access to this, and so does Tammy, is there an issue there? So you're able to see that information. That's pulling in your users. Then we're going to look at how much detail do we want this window to show. The nice thing here is that this all prints out into a really nice report for your auditors. So if they come to you and they say, hey, Adam, I need to see everything that Elise and Tammy and Janelle can reach in GP, I can pull those 3 in here, run this roles, and look at it at roles, tasks, and details, and that's going to give me granular view of everything they can touch in the system. I could also look at it really high level and just say roles only, or I can say I want to see roles and the tasks that build those roles. So like I said, we're looking at this in the most detail we can. Now we're just going to highlight across the top. So this is our accounting manager role. And for me to see what security my user has, I just come to this intersection of the role and the user. So this is where I can say Ryan doesn't have access, but these 3 users do. And if I look at this little pound sign or hashtag, whatever we want to call it today, that is indicating that there is a conflict within the segregation of duties in Auditor. So this lets me know that, hey, there's something not quite right here, so I can go in and I can view that segregation of duties report and see what window or what function can they touch that we don't want them to be able to access because there's something wrong in that role. Now, say that Sarah's going on vacation and Ryan needs to fill in for her. If that's the case and I want to change Ryan's security here, I can simply flip him from a no to a yes with a right click, and now I've given Ryan security to that accounting manager role. When Sarah comes back and Ryan needs to give that control up, just vice versa, flip it back. And the cool thing is if you're using Auditor in conjunction with our GP Toolbox, Auditor is going to track those security changes and then keep it in that security audits folder that we looked at earlier. So we try to keep these tools so that they kind of play back and forth with one another. So that's one option with the security manager. Now, maybe you want to see how do we get this information changed down here? Because right now, Ryan doesn't have access, but it looks like in these bracketed items that, yes, he does have access to this quick journal window. So this is showing me windows, and this is showing me reports. So why does he have access to this quick journal? Well, if I double-click on this, it's going to get me some additional information on that security setting of that quick journal report, and it's showing me that that report lives inside of this particular task, and this task is associated with these 3 roles. So good chance Ryan has access to a different role that has that function in it. So you can even go a step further back and pull that user in. I can look at the company that we're just looking at, and then I can see that he doesn't have access to that accounting manager role based on the stop sign or the accountant, but it looks like with this little check mark, he's got access to the bookkeeper, and that is a report inside of that role. So that's why he has access to it there. So it gives you kind of a fuller look at what your security is actually set up like. So that is the security manager piece. Oh, and another thing, it does fully export to Excel or a CSV file. So if you guys are looking at setting up a new company and you want to do your security really quick and easy, just export this sheet, import it into your next company, and you have your security all set up. You can make changes in that sheet as well and import it back in with just our little import button here, and that will update your security. So if it's easier to do it outside of GP entirely, that's totally an option. Excuse me. All right, next tool I got to show you, because this one is very, very popular, is the inactivity timeout. Now I'm wondering how many of you have users that log into GP and they never log out. I have been that user. This tool basically alleviates that problem for you. So if you've ever come up against the problem that you try to log in and it says that all of the licenses are being used, you can't log in at this time, this tool can potentially save you a lot of dollars in purchasing additional GP licenses, because it's keeping the productive and active users in your sessions, and it's booting out the ones that have been sitting idle without having to run a SQL job or do this manually. So to turn on a tool, it's as simple as marking the checkbox. So there you go, you've implemented. And what you do next is you set a default number of minutes before timing out. So it's looking for inactivity. Inactivity could mean a lot of things, but an activity is going to be maybe you're actively running a report. We're not going to kick you out if it takes 3 hours for your report to generate and it's spinning. That's considered an activity. Maybe you're midway through a transaction and you need to go get some additional information. If you're midway through a transaction, we're not going to kick you out. Same if you are posting a batch. We're looking for a push or a pull of data from your tables, so that's what determines your activity in the system. If you have 10 windows open in GP and you just come in and wiggle your mouse around to wake up your screen, that is not an activity, and we will gracefully log you out of the system. And what that means is we do a complete clean logout. So it's the same as doing a file close or doing an exit. So we're not leaving you stuck in that activity table. We're completely removing the record so that someone else can log in. And we decided that the default minutes, that wasn't good enough. We didn't think one size fit all users, so we created the concept of user groups. So I have 2 different user groups down here, and if we open up my light users, I can see that this group only gets 30 minutes of inactivity before we log them out. So I take my groups, I set those up, I put different users in here, so I have 2 users. It gives me a whole list of who I have set up in my system. I put them into that user group, and now I've said that this group is included and they get 30 minutes of inactivity. So maybe this is just groups that log in, maybe enter some time or purchase orders in the morning and then they're done. This clears out those licenses for me. And you can also schedule when you want this tool turned on or off. So Monday through Friday, I have this tool turned on at all times from 8 to 5, Monday through Friday. At 5 o'clock on Friday or 5:01, this tool turns off. So that way, you know, if you're running between groceries and soccer practice on a weekend and you're trying to get some work done, it's not going to log you out of the system at that point, but that's not necessarily my highest volume of users in the system. So it's totally up to you if you want to use a schedule, but it's available for you if you do. Also, you can exclude users from tools. So for my system administrators, I've excluded them so they will never be logged out. So this, again, very popular piece of functionality, and we hear from customers all the time that it's saving them money on those user licenses and saving them some frustration on kicking people out. So that is the inactivity timeout. A few other tools. I know I want to save some time for questions at the end here. System lockout. This is considered an administration tool, but it's also a security tool. Basically, what this allows you to do is lock your GP. So whether you have to maybe apply a service pack or maybe you're restoring a backup because something really bad happened, this allows you to set a system lockout for a specific time frame or an immediate time frame, and you get to select companies. So maybe it's all your companies or there's just one that you're needing to restore back. We could lock out just one company for a specific amount of time. But this will look at that same activity requirement, see whether or not someone is actively working on something. If they're not, it's going to log them out of GP. They'll get a message saying why that is, which you can customize. And then when the system will be back up for them to get in. But once they've been removed, they won't be able to log back into GP until that time elapses or you remove the lock. So this is a great piece for year-end close time when you want to make sure no one's in there. Set this up, whether it's for the weekend or just for a few hours. Set that time frame, and then you can get that done without worrying about someone posting something when you really don't want that to happen. So that is the system lockout. The one thing I always caution people is make sure you exclude at least one user or you will have effectively locked yourself out of GP as well. Then you can call our support team. A few other pieces in here, the password policy options. This is for your GP login password or your system administrator passwords in GP. So it's not looking back at the Active Directory information and things like that. But this allows you to put some strict rules around what do you want your passwords to be for GP. Maybe you don't want your password to be password. This allows you to put some of those restrictions on here, so forcing mixed case, requiring numbers and special characters, as well as your expiration settings. So if you want this to expire every 30 days so that you have that information changing constantly, you can set that up in here. You can also set up a grace period, so when you're kind of coming up on that day that it's going to expire, maybe you get 1 or 2 quick logins before we officially say, nope, you absolutely must change your password. So we let you set all that information up, and then you can apply the same restrictions to the system password if you'd like. So that is our password policy options. Another piece I'm going to show you is our security what if. And this is a new piece that we just added to the product last year. And this is kind of like an edit list before you make a change to security. So we can come in and we can pick which company again. We can pick a user. So I'm going to pick Tammy here. And this allows me to see what new functionality am I giving that user, what new windows can they get to, what new reports can they get to before I actually grant the security or take security away, for example. So I pick whether I'm looking at a grant or a revoke. Then I get to pick a role, since it's always done at the role level. So I'm going to pick bookkeeper because I know Tammy doesn't have that. Hit my redisplay. And this determines all the changes that are going to happen giving her this new piece. So it's going to show me all the products that it affects. So I'm looking at my GP. She's also going to get access to some new smart lists. But this I can print out and look at and see, okay, do I really want to give them access? My forms are all my windows. So these are the new windows she's going to get. We can see there's a lot of new reports that she'll have access to, as well as 4 new smart lists. So I can decide, is that a good fit? Is that what I really need? Yes or no. If it is, I can hit grant access. If it's not, I can just clear out the screen and nothing changed. Same if I wanted to revoke. This button would just change to a revoke. So it's kind of that edit list, making sure you know what you're doing before you do it. All right, and I think I've got time for maybe one more here. So I'm going to show you just a little bit outside of the security piece, but this is our batch review window. So this is going to allow you, for users that have security, to manage your batches, whether that be posting them, deleting them, or approving them. This window allows you to come in and you can see all of the batches that you have across all your different modules, with, again, the exception of payroll. So I can come in here and I can filter out my batches by series. This is kind of a one-stop shop. So rather than having to go into each individual module, you can do it right here. So I'm going to say I just want to see my sales batches. So then this window just filters down to sales. I can grab one here with a bunch of transactions. So this is my email batch. It's going to show me what I've got access to here. So just what I'm able to access. I can see who's created the batch, when it was created, but this allows me to move transactions around. So if I need to move maybe these 3 transactions to a new batch, or maybe I need to void them, edit them, delete them, I can do all of that from one window. So this is going to pick those up, put them into their own little holding tank, and then I can pick which new batch I want this to go to. So I can say, let's move those 3 over to my August 31st batch. And now they've been removed from this batch. My batch totals and transaction totals have been updated. I can then approve this if I'm set up for approvals. And then I can post it, again, delete it if that's something I'm looking to do. But it's kind of a one-stop shop for the folks with security to batches to manage those and not have to jump between modules, and it saves a lot of time with the moving of transactions rather than doing it at the batch header option. So that was one I wanted to show you guys just for that piece. You can also reset the batch, so if it gets stuck in posting, this is a nice way to reset it so you can repost it without having to run through a lot of scripts. So those are just a few of the tools in the toolbox. Like I said, lots more in there. But those were the ones that I specifically wanted to show you guys today. So now I'm going to move into just one other slide here. This is just some of our Rockton Software offerings. So specific to GP, these are the 5 products that we have. We looked at the top 3 here today. We also have a couple of other options for pricing and reporting. And then we've also moved into the Dynamics 365 space. So if that's something you're looking at in the future, we've got offerings for a recurring billing app. So if you do rentals or have to bill customers on a monthly or annual basis, this basically automates that entire process. It's amazing. We have a software management app specifically for those of you that maybe sell software. And then we have a tax processing piece. And we always offer custom development, training, and implementations. So if you need it built, give us a call. We'll figure it out for you and then train it and implement on it. So those are just a few of the Rockton pieces. And just with any add-on product that we offer for GP, we do free trials. So if any of those solutions look like something you'd like to kind of mess around with in your own system with your own data, we offer that free trial. So you get 30 days free. It's the full version of the product. Installs quick. It's a download off of our website. So you can play with it, actually see how it's going to work for your users. It doesn't have to be the Fabricam company, but gives you a chance to play with it before you buy it. So that's always an option for you, as well as reaching out to us if you need a better, little bit more in-depth demo on any of the solutions. Let us know. We'd be happy to do that for you as well. So I'm going to just drop in our last slide here with some of our contact information. So if you guys have questions, we hopefully have answers. But you can reach out to us, just our sales@rocktonsoftware.com, and you'll get one of our lovely technical sales people, and we'd be happy to answer any questions that you have as far as, you know, pricing and things like that. All of our prices are also listed on our website, so feel free to go out there and check those out if you've got questions on pricing or anything. But I am going to hand it back over to Adam here and just see if there's any questions that I can help anybody out with.
Great. Thanks, Alicia. Yeah, we do actually have a bunch of questions, so I'm just going to read them off to you one by one, and we'll hopefully get to everybody. So first question is, does Security Manager replace the roles in security in GP?
Great question. It is not going to replace the roles in GP. What it's going to do is actually pull in all of the roles that you guys have set up in GP. So if you use some of the default roles when you initially installed, those are going to show, as well as any roles that you yourselves have created. So it's pulling in whatever you've set up as your kind of your core security GP roles.
Okay, awesome. So another question, when the system lockout is enabled, I believe this is in Security Manager, what type of message will a person get when they try to log in when the lockout is in place?
Great question. That message is completely customizable, so you can actually set that yourself. So if you want to say, hey, we're doing system maintenance, it'll be done at noon today, you can set that up, and then when they try to log in to GP, rather than getting that login window, they're going to get that message until that time has elapsed.
In the security what if screen, can you selectively remove the default roles security?
Ooh. That is a great question, and I have not tried to do that. I can certainly look that up. If you want to just provide an email or contact information, I will test that out after the call and give you an answer today.
Here's another question that just came in. Can the batch review window be accessed to other users, for example, account manager instead of SA? I think that systems admin or something, I think? Okay.
Yep, absolutely. You don't need, you can see that window. It's going to be based on whether or not you're able to post batches in those other modules, whether or not you can see it. So you can give security to that particular window. You can create just a little sub-role if you want to. But yeah, you can definitely get access. You don't have to be the SA user or the Toolbox administrator, because we want that to be available to the folks that are typically posting in those different modules. So yes, you can totally get access.
Another question, what does the Toolbox cost?
Great question. All of our products are licensed, so they're based on the number of full system users that you have in GP. So that means if you're registered for 10 full system users, you'd buy 10 users of Toolbox. And Toolbox is $270 per full system user, and that's a one-time cost, so you're just buying it that one time. And then it's a 20% annual enhancement thereafter, and that enhancement includes unlimited support, all of the upgrades. You know, if you change versions and go from 2016 to 2018, you don't have to buy it again. And then you're also going to get those enhancements. So when we add new tools to it, as long as you're current, you're going to get those new tools. So it's $270 plus the 20% annual enhancement.
Here's another question. Can you have different admin roles in Auditor, such as someone that can review AP changes but still be audited for their GL access?
Yes. No. Yes and no. Yes, mostly. So basically with that, you could give access to the different smart lists that you want folks to be able to see. I would not necessarily give that person then audit administrator access, because those would be the folks that could also create a new audit or effectively turn an audit off. So I would go more towards leaning to give them access to that smart list and to be able to review the audit that's happened, but not necessarily create or modify new audits, especially on that GL side. And our support team or myself, we can help set that up for you or show you what I mean when I say giving that different access.
I think somebody asked a similar question, but I'm just going to read it anyway. Someone's asking, does a security manager in the toolbox do what-if scenarios?
So the security manager wouldn't do the what-if scenarios. The security what-if would do the what-if scenarios. So they're two different tools in the same product. So that last one or second to last one that I showed, the what-if, that is a separate window from security manager. So it's a separate tool. But you would do both of those functions within the toolbox.
All right, let's see if we have any more questions. Okay, someone's asking, someone says, I definitely want to install SmartFill in my GP 2018 demo environment. Is it ready yet for 2018?
Yes, absolutely. All of our products are ready for 2018, and all of them, with the exception of our reporting product that I didn't show you today, are all web client compatible as well. So the downloads are available on our website, or you can just reach out to sales at Rockton Software, and I can get you reg keys today.
Let's just see if anybody has any more questions. Don't be shy. We'll get to all of them. Just give people another 30 seconds or so to kind of collect their thoughts, see if they have any more questions. But these are some good questions, so thank you.
Yeah.
And good answers, too, so thank you.
No problem.
All right, doesn't look like we have any more coming in right now, so why don't we end here?
Okay.
Alicia, once again, yeah, I'd like to give a big thank you for presenting today. That was awesome. And I'd like to thank everybody for attending as well. If you have any questions, there is the contact information right on the screen. I recorded this session as well, so we'll be sure to send everybody a link to view the recording probably in the next day or so. All right, so thanks again and have a great day, everyone.
Thanks, guys. Bye-bye.